Children, demand for autonomy was also taking place in Assam. Assam has been the hotbed of militancy for a number of years due to its sharing of borders with Bangladesh and Bhutan.
A large number of people from the two neighboring countries used to come and settle in Assam. The native people of Assam thought that if this was allowed to continue, they would be deprived of the job opportunities, land and other amenities that were meant to be there just for them.
So, protests started. An organization called United Liberation Front of Assam was formed in April 1979 to establish a sovereign state of Assam through an armed struggle. However, today ULFA is no longer active as most of its leaders have been arrested.
All Assam Students Union or AASU is a students' organization in Assam that led a 6-year Assam movement against alleged illegal immigrants from Bangladesh. Thousands of AASU students courted arrest daily.
This movement was that the movement has got massive mass support almost from all corners of the society. AASU clarified that their agitation is against all such illegal foreigners irrespective of religion or community.
Only after the historic Assam Accord that was signed in 1984, the matter was resolved. An agreement was signed by the central government and AASU on the initiative of the then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. Elections were held and Assam Gana Parishad or AGP, an offshoot of AASU, came into power. Still, the problems of influx of immigrants from Bangladesh continued to some extent as the border with Bangladesh cannot be sealed completely because of the geographical terrain, and it was also not possible to differentiate between old Bengali settlers and fresh immigrants or to send back the immigrants. And then when there was too much of stress laid on the ethnicity, it motivated other small tribes like Bodos, Khasis, Mizos and Karbis to demand autonomy for themselves. The National Democratic Front of Bodoland was formed in 1989 with an aim to set up an autonomous region, Bodoland. And many more such organizations followed. And many such other organizations were formed.
The central government deployed armed forces in the region to maintain peace and order in the state. Civil rights of the citizens were denied and army was given a chance to reign supreme there. This also led to many other conflicts.
The Kalistan movement in Punjab aimed to create a separate Sikh country. In the 1980s, some of the Kalistan activists turned to militancy, resulting in counter-militancy operations by the Indian security forces.
The main factors behind this movement was inadequate recognition of Sikhism and the Punjabi language and alleged mistreatment from the Indian Congress government since its formation in 1947.
The Sikhs in Punjab wanted to have Chandigarh as their sole capital, more water from the Bhakra Nangal Dam and greater recruitment of Sikhs in the Indian Army. They wanted that greater powers should be given to the state of Punjab. The main political organization, Shiromani Akali Dal or SAD, had given certain demand to the ruling government of Janata Party in 1978 and was looking forward for the central government to implement them. But in the elections of 1980, Congress returned to power.
This was the time when the Sikh militant groups started taking birth. There was a lot of chaos in the state. The militant groups were forcing people to adopt rigid Sikh values and promoting communalism.
The Sikh separatist groups occupied the holy temple of the Sikhs, the Golden Temple. The Indian Army intervened and under the Operation Blue Star of June 1984, the Indian Army forcibly entered the Golden Temple and killed most of the terrorists.
The way Indian army was allowed to enter the holy premises of the Golden Temple led to widespread criticism of the Indian government. Many Sikhs considered it as disrespect to their religion and place of worship. Indira Gandhi was assassinated by her 2 Sikh bodyguards in retaliation. Following her death, thousands of Sikhs were massacred in the 1984 anti-Sikh riots.
Indira Gandhi's son and political successor Rajiv Gandhi tried unsuccessfully to bring peace to Punjab. He held talks with SAD and signed an agreement with the SAD president Sant Langowal in 1985.
But the peace was short-lived as Sant Langowal was assassinated by the militants in the same year.
In April 1986, the Akal Takht announced the declaration of independence of Kalistan from the Darbar Sahib, Amritsar, Punjab. And then followed a long series of chaos and disorder in the state.
There were communal riots, cases of kidnapping and extortion, an endless number of civilian murders. Those who did not conform to the rules and norms of the militants were killed. The central government was trying its level best to keep the situation under control by deploying army in the state. Elections were eventually held in 1992, but the voter turnout was poor. A new Congressite government was formed, and it gave the police chief of the state, KPS Gill, a free hand to eliminate the militants from Punjab. Gill was ruthless against all defaulters, and his methods severely weakened the terrorist organizations.